Welcome back to Nerd News Today. I'm Matthew, and on this episode we have a look at a brand new exclusive AEW action figure set. And when I use the terms highly anticipated, I say that in a lot of these videos. In the case of this particular 2-pack, yeah, this has been highly anticipated, especially by me. Today we're looking at the ringside exclusive AEW Blood and Guts 2-pack of Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley from their AEW Championship match at Revolution 2021. Let's take a quick leap back into the past for a second here, and let's talk about when this match happened, because, yeah, we could talk about the match, we could totally dissect the heck out of that thing, because, sparklers don't really win highlight reels. But hey, other than that, I thought the match was really cool, but the most important thing to me at the time was not so much the match and what would happen in it, it was more the fact that I wanted them to make toys out of it. And knowing what Ringside was doing with their Blood and Guts 2-pack, I was like, this is going to be a set ripe for action figures. So lo and behold, when this suddenly went on pre-order, I jumped on it day one, hour one, probably minute one. As soon as I saw this thing go up, I went and pre-ordered not just one of these, but two of them, because I liked it so much before I even saw it. So to say that there's a lot of hype around this, well, yeah, that's totally true, and that hype is mostly from me. Is it going to live up to whatever this imaginary hype is I've got going on in my head? Well, that's still to be determined. And what was it that got me so into this figure before I even saw it really in hand? Well, it was the thought of finally having a dream barbed wire deathmatch ring. I mean, I talked about this in other videos, like the time where I reviewed the barbed wire accessory pack. We've got right now an authentic scale ring, and it has always been my dream to have a proper deathmatch ring. I grew up watching like all the deathmatch wrestling stuff when I was in high school. I was a big fan of it back then. Not so much today, but I still like it enough that I want to have a toy to kind of commemorate that and have some kind of awesome matches in it when I take some figure photography. And I think that this 2-pack, along with that barbed wire accessory pack I already mentioned, are going to finally fill this void. So real quick, let's just talk about this packaging here, because I have to tell you guys, even just seeing this thing in box form, I'm already really into it, and I think this packaging is awesome. This 2-pack is in an enormous box because it is holding a lot of accessories that I can't wait to take a closer look at. But as far as this thing goes, we have a giant window in the front that lets you see both of the figures with their exclusive gear and their blade jobs as well, which is really cool, all that blood all over these figures. On one side of the packaging, we see some of the additional hands that come with this set, as well as a few spools of barbed wire, while the opposite side of it has the AEW Championship belt with even more spools of barbed wire. And what you guys can't see right now in the packaging is that there also are some tables in there. So yeah, we're going to get real hardcore in a few minutes. The back of the packaging also has a really excellent photo from that Revolution match we already talked about, as well as the faux signatures from both these guys, and the ringside exclusive label. It's a really cool photo, and it's a really cool box, and that's one of the reasons why I actually got two of these, was because it's kind of my dream to actually get Moxley and Omega to sign this box. I think it would be so cool to commemorate that match with these toys with their autographs on it. So hopefully one day I can make that happen. But this one right here, this one is not for safekeeping, this one is not for autographs, this one is to bust open and see how these toys actually look inside the ring. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and get these guys out of the box, and as I always say, into the ring. Alright, and here is our Revolution 2021 barbed wire deathmatch versions of Jon Moxley on the left, Kenny Omega on the right. This is them straight out of the box, although I currently still actually have them posed up against the piece of cardboard that was inserted with them. Why do I have that here? Because I think it looks really cool. I'm going to actually zoom out a little bit just to give you guys a better look at it. It's going to be a little hard to, I think, save this thing long-term and to keep it long-term because, over here is where the tables were hiding. So, unfortunately, get this thing open, it's going to probably result in me having to destroy this entire thing, or at least a good portion of it, because, we have to remove these things somehow. So that's going to be a little bit ugly, but, I think this is still a really cool display piece. I wish the tables weren't attached like this. On the sides is where they had the other weapons and accessories and the barbed wire hidden. And I wish they'd found a way to do that with the tables. Like, in fact, there's actually, as I look down here, you can see there's a little bit of space, like right here. And they could have easily put the tables under here, which would have been really cool because they could have had them hidden. But then again, maybe people would have noticed them as much. Who knows? I don't know. But, my thoughts are you could have put some of the weapons underneath this sort of platform here. And then, yeah, you could absolutely have kept this long-term as a display piece because it's really cool. I love having that logo behind them. I'm going to hate taking it apart, but unfortunately I have to do it. But at the very least, I wanted to show you guys. I'll do my best to salvage it. But yeah, if you guys find any good ways to keep this thing completely intact without totally marring it due to taking these tables off, let me know how it turns out. Let me know what you did to make it work that way. But let's go ahead now and let's get a better look at both these figures inside the ring. Alright, so we now have our Moxley and our Omega inside the rings, and this is basically them pulled right out of the packaging, so this is exactly how you're going to see it, minus one little tiny thing here, and that would be Moxley had little tiny bits of plastic wrapped around his biceps. That's probably to prevent any spillage or staining from this piece of black cloth here. It is his t-shirt, so that's the thing that can happen with action figures, so it is nice that they consider that. And, they also actually have it underneath his t-shirt here. In fact, we'll see in a few moments. Get a better look at it now, though. But there's actually a bit of plastic over there. I don't know if Kenny has it. I don't think, no, Kenny does not have that. And I'm pretty sure that's just because the black fabric has a habit of staining a lot more than the white fabric does. So my immediate thoughts is that, wow, holy crap, I got myself a barbed wire deathmatch set, and I got myself 2 figures covered in blood. Little high school Matthew is super excited right now about this. So let's talk first things first about the likenesses here. Do these figures look like Kenny Omega? Do they look like Jon Moxley? Well, again, I don't think these are new head sculpts for either wrestler. So, they're basically what we've seen before, I'm pretty sure. In fact, I'm pretty sure I have that Moxley head on another figure already. So, I never really had a problem with either of these figures beforehand. I like the Omega sculpts and I like the Moxley sculpts. But I think the blood really looks good in them. So I guess the bigger question is, if I like the likenesses, do I like how the blood works on these likenesses? And that's a definite yes. One of the cool things also about these Blood and Guts 2-packs is that really no 2 figure is the same. That blood is going to be, similar, but it's usually pretty hard to get it exactly the way it is with the splatters being where they are. I mean, they try their best, but, it's always going to be a little bit different in every single pack. I think the blood really looks good in these toys. It's a weird thing to say, but I'm liking how it's looked on all of the Blood and Guts figures so far, and these 2 are no exception. I think they chose the perfect expressions also for these, now looking at them with the blood on. So yeah, the blood does not take anything away. It definitely adds a lot of drama to these figures, much needed drama. So yeah, likenesses are great top to bottom. The blood effect is perfect. Really have no complaints about that. And since the blood is really one of the most important details, let's spend a little more time talking about that, shall we? So, you guys can see, obviously, it's on both their heads. It's also kind of splattered on their arms, and I'm pretty sure there's some also on their bodies. So I think now is going to be a good time to actually talk about these shirts so I can take them off. So Kenny Omega shirt is kind of like silkscreen on, a river processor using that is close enough to looking like a silkscreen on a toy t-shirt. So that's really cool. But Moxley, you can see it's like basically sort of a vinyl sticker that's been pressed onto it. So that doesn't quite look as good as this. It's pretty obvious. This looks way better. And I think that's one of the weaknesses that Jazzverse has had so far with their figures, and they have these darker color t-shirts. I just don't like how it looks when they're printed on. I said the same thing about the Britt Baker Blood and Guts, because she had a shirt just like that too. So it's just, I'm not a fan of this style. I much prefer this version here. But I do think the shirts are really cool. And what's nice about them also, you guys can see Velcro enclosures on the back. That's how we're going to get them on and off. And another nice thing about AEW figures, I'm happy we get to talk about it right now, is that all of the major joints are, in fact, actually, you're able to take them out. The arms you can with a little bit more work. Usually the torsos pop right out. You can see that right there, which makes it a lot easier to do certain things. So let's just actually go ahead. I'm going to remove some of this clothing just to show you guys what the bodies look like with the blood stains and all that stuff here. But, really, nothing we haven't seen before with these figures, because the body types are, again, the same as we've seen with the other previous versions of both of these characters. So a nice thing about this too is that the arm loops on both of them, they're pretty wide. I hope you guys can see that and notice that, but they're pretty wide. So that means it's also very easy to pull those shirts off, and I'm assuming also to get them back on. And that's a big deal. That's actually a pretty big deal, because yeah, you don't want to rip your fabric shirts when you're doing this kind of stuff, or else you've just wasted a lot of money on a defective action figure. All right, so I got our guys' shirts off now, and mostly I just want to show you guys more of the blood. And what's cool, especially in this case, is that not only is it like dripping on them, but keep in mind too, they're gonna have barbed wire stains on their back. You can see there's little holes there from where the barbed wire would have penetrated their back sections. And that's a really cool little detail, very important detail. If you mess that one up, the blood is kind of worthless, especially in the back. And if you are talking figure photography, you need to have this. That's going to be how those photos look really awesome. You got to have that dripping blood and those puncture wounds. So they got it, and it's weird to show it to you guys, but there it is. It's on the arms too. That's really cool. It's on their arms, especially those little dots. You guys can see it better here. Just lots of stains across their entire body, and yeah, it's so cool. Like this is exactly what I hoped for, and it's very much delivering right now. And as far as the rest of the outfit goes, both of them are very accurate to what they wore in the match. You got the same color, same style of pants that Moxley wore in that match. Same thing with Omega wearing his knee pads on his pants. So outfit-wise, it's perfect. Something else I kind of like about these figures too is you can see their wrist tape, and this kind of shows you how deep into the match they are. This is not white wrist tape. And just for comparison's sake, I'm going to move all these guys over for a second, and I'm going to put Scorpio Sky in between them so you can see exactly what I'm talking about here. Scorpio Sky, he's a fresh man in. He's not in a barbed wire match. His wristbands are white, but Moxley and Omega's are both a much darker color because they've been sweat on, they've been bled on. So yeah, clever, smart detail. Really like that. And just for fun, since I am doing some comparisons now, let's do a few others. I'm just going to bring in a earlier version of Moxley. I think that actually is his first figure from AEW. I don't quite remember. That's him without the bloodstains, of course. And here is Kenny Omega from, I think this is Series 5. So here's just how everybody looks side by side with all the bloodstains and without the bloodstains. Their feet might be a little bit wonky, so they're not all standing up straight. But, again, you can basically see what we're talking about here. Basically, not much has changed between any of these figures in terms of their bodies or articulation, anything like that. It's just the blood, but that blood really does add a lot to those faces, doesn't it? I mean, get a good long look at that crimson mask and how expressive these figures suddenly become when you see that blood just dripping down their faces. It's so sickeningly, gruesomely cool. I love it. All right, so let's get these guys out of the ring for a second here, and let's start talking about the accessories because they have a lot of accessories. So we already talked a little bit about the t-shirts. Again, here's that Omega Deathmatch shirt, which I really, really like. And here's that Moxley shirt, which I really, really don't like as much, but at least it's there. Happy that they're included. Inside the packaging, you saw that Moxley had his barbed wire baseball bat, and Omega was holding his barbed wire chair. Now, there was no barbed wire broom here. We actually got that in the barbed wire accessory pack, so if you missed out on it, you got to get that pack to get it. But yeah, the chair is here, so is the bat. And what's cool that I learned actually after I did that review, in fact, of those pieces, is that yes, while I knew the barbed wire came off the chair, which I'll do right now for you guys, there we go, and that is a solid piece. You can put it on other things that would fit it. Barbed wire comes off the chair, and we can easily put it back on, as I'm doing right now. There you go, boom, back on. Now, what I didn't know was that the baseball bat, it's also removable, and you can see it now. I just kind of like squished it down, so I think that's the way you get it off, is you probably just keep pulling it down, and that's how you get yourself a baseball bat. So yeah, it's basically like 2-in-1 right there, which is very handy to have. We also get an AEW championship belt. Now, we've gotten this a bunch of times, so it's kind of an older accessory to me at this point. But if you haven't gotten it before, it's a nice one to have. I'm really not going to complain about having more AEW championship belts, because yeah, it's just such a great looking championship belt. We also have a bunch of hands here, which are kind of interchangeable. I mean, you know, there's 4 additional hands. And since their skin tone is basically the same, and their wrapping is more or less the same, I guess, so you can kind of swap them out however you want. I mean, I think they're more for Omega, though, especially I say that because, you know, this is his hand doing his signature pose. So, you know, they're interchangeable if you want to have them more gloved up, more taped up, if you will. If you don't want them, you don't have to have them, but it's nice to have those options. Adds to the customization. And for the most part, too, you could probably use this with a lot of other figures who have similar skin tones. Now, we also get, as I mentioned at the start of the video, not 1, but 2 tables. These are 2 of the AEW tables. They break pretty nicely. Again, we looked at those in the past. It's nice to have 2 of them, because previously we got them with some other figures, a different 2-pack, I believe, also. But it's nice to now have like 2 of them coming in this package, because you're going to want them. And you're especially going to want them because you get not just 1, but 2 things of barbed wire, 2 sets of spools of barbed wire, which means you get 6 pieces of barbed wire total. Now, what does this barbed wire look like? It looks like this mess right here. This is basically the barbed wire out of the packaging, and this actually, then they got all wrapped up together from some other stuff here. Let's pull one out. It's actually a little bit more loose here. So the barbed wire is this nice, lovely looking stuff here. And you can see it's curling, which is so awesome. You got to have the barbed wire that curls. That's how it works. That's how it looks more authentic. And that's how it's going to look here. So what's nice also about this is that both of them have these little hooks on the end. That's how you're going to wrap it around the table, or in my personal case, that's how I'm going to wrap it around the ring ropes to make it into a true barbed wire death match. So yeah, you basically do get enough to put 3 spools on each table. And that's if you want to do it that way. For me personally, I'm probably not going to really put the barbed wire on the table. Again, I have that barbed wire accessory pack, and that accessory pack included this giant thing here. And this thing here is basically like a bed. They'd put the barbed wire, wrap around that. So you can use this if you have the barbed wire accessory pack. If you don't, you can put it on the tables. But, you know, as I told you guys when I did that barbed wire accessory pack review, these actually are long enough to go turnbuckle to turnbuckle. And to prove it, I've got them actually right now resting on the ropes. And you guys can see it right there. They go turnbuckle to turnbuckle, so you can definitely wrap them around it. And, you know, again, we've only 6 of them. You can't do every single side of the ring. You're going to need to get more accessory packs if you can find them still. But it is doable. You can have this happen, and that is what I've been waiting for. And that's also why I bought 5 of those barbed wire accessory packs. But anyway, now for one last sake of comparison, I'm going to pull these tables out of here. And I want to show you guys some of the other Blood and Guts figures so far, which has included Cody Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes right here. That was the first Blood and Guts 2-pack, and I like those figures, again, just as much now as I do back when I first reviewed it. And then we also have the most recent single Blood and Guts figure, and that would be the Dr. Britt Baker, which, again, I think that version of her is much better than her previous version as well, her non-bloody version. I think it had a better head sculpt, too. So really, these Blood and Guts figures, they're must-buys, man. They're really, really great. No complaints about these things. I'm totally, really into these figures, and, you know, just for fun, I'm going to just show you guys how the barbed wire is meant to wrap around this table. There are instructions on the package, but you're going to basically hook them onto the back part of the table like this, and they want you to basically kind of wrap it around and do a little bit of spooling action. And then eventually, once it is wrapped up enough, you'll hook it back up over there. Really, any way you can get it on. And then you'll pop those legs open. And there you go. And just for argument's sake, I'm just going to go ahead and take a big old clump of this stuff that I got from my other accessory packs and just drop it on there. Because, man, doesn't that look awesome? Just for fun, let's do a paradigm shift and see if we can break this barbed wire table. Oh, yes, you can, folks. These tables are awesome. These tables are really good. Yeah, I'm a sucker for a good table. They get put together just as easily as they broke apart. These are great. Good job, Jazzers, on that. Very important detail to have. And yeah, also doing that little barbed wire thing kind of showed you guys a little bit more of the articulation on them. You know what? Now I'm just having fun with these toys. Sorry, guys, but like I said, this is one of my dreams here. So I'm just going to cover Jon Moxley in this barbed wire, and there we go. Yeah, you can tell I'm pretty happy right now having this figure. So in terms of articulation, it is the same articulation as any AEW figure, which includes ball-jointed head, ball-jointed shoulders, bicep swivel, double-jointed elbow, always good to have, full wrist articulation, our torso can move, our waist can move, and they can also rock back and forth, full leg mobility on all of them, thigh shift, double-jointed knees. We even have some lower movement here, which is a first on Omega. I guess it's probably because the ankle can't move without that in his case. And the shoes can move too. So yeah, we're not losing any articulation on these figures whatsoever. So final thoughts on this deathmatch 2-pack here. You know, I'm a big fan of both of these wrestlers, and while the match again, you know, we could spend a whole episode just talking about that again. I enjoyed it until the sparklers happened. So, you know, what matters more to me is the fact that I got bloody versions of both these guys. I get even more barbed wire than I had before. I get more tables. I get more accessories. I get really cool versions of these guys that I think, you know, you really can't top. I mean, there's going to be more detailed versions of both these guys in different outfits and things like that, but you're not going to get too many versions of them splattered in their own blood and each other's blood. So, you know, it's morbid to say, but it's true. And for me, that's what this Blood and Guts series has been accomplishing. It's giving me bloody versions of these guys that are great variants. They're going to work out wonderful for figure photography. We've got even more accessories to add to the AEW collection, the AEW lineup. So really, it's winning all around. And at a price point of $60, that's what this guy is right now in Ringside Collectibles, new, it's $60. Think about that value, you guys. 2 figures, 2 tables, the chair, the bat, the championship belt, the barbed wire, the soft goods for both these guys. $60 sounds like a steal to me, honestly. $60 is a great deal. So personally speaking, I wouldn't wait too long on these. I mean, they're going to be in stock for a while, I'm sure, on Ringside Collectibles, but once they're gone, those prices will go up and this will become a very expensive set. For my money, I'm happy I didn't wait. I'm super into this. My goal now is to get that other one autographed, and that's going to be the game plan. But let me know what you think about this 2-pack. Let me know if you're as excited about it as I am, and if you're into it as much, and if you already got one too. And tell me who you want to see next up in the Blood and Guts series. I got some ideas too, but I want to know what you're thinking about. So go ahead, hit me up in the comments, and let me know who you want to see next. So until next time, I'm Matthew. This has been Nerd News Today. This is our Blood and Guts Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley 2-pack ringside exclusive from Revolution 2021. Until then, we will see you guys later.